The anonymous letter arrived on a Tuesday morning, typed on standard copy paper with no return address, claiming my family had violated 17 different city ordinances that didn't exist. I'm Knox Ramirez, 34, marketing director for a mid-sized logistics firm. I've lived in the Fairway Corner subdivision of Fox Bend, Texas for 3 years. My wife Sarah and I bought our 2,400 square foot colonial on Meadowbrook Drive because the neighborhood felt safe. Established. The kind of place where people wave from their driveways and kids ride bikes until sunset. The letter listed violations with specific ordinance numbers. Section 14.7-B for excessive lawn ornamentation. Code 22.3-A for improper mailbox positioning. Violation 8.9-C for unauthorized exterior paint colors. Each citation included a fine amount, $200 here, $300 there. The total came to $4,600. I called Fox Bend City Hall that afternoon. The clerk, Donovan Walker, checked their database twice. None of the ordinance numbers existed. The violation codes were fabricated. Someone had created an elaborate fake document designed to look official. "We've never sent anything like this to your address," Donovan said. "Our letterhead is different too. This is a forgery." I hung up and studied the letter again. The formatting was professional. The language matched typical municipal correspondence. Someone had invested serious time crafting this deception. But why target us? We followed every HOA rule, kept our grass trimmed to regulation height, painted our shutters approved colors from the Architectural Review Board's palette. That evening, I walked our property line with a measuring tape. Everything appeared normal. Our fence sat exactly where the survey markers indicated. The mailbox stood regulation distance from the curb. Our house numbers matched city requirements for size and visibility. Sarah found me in the garage at midnight, spreading the fake letter across my workbench under the fluorescent lights. "Maybe it's just a prank," she said. "Some kid with too much time." I wanted to believe her. But the document felt too sophisticated for a random joke. Someone had researched our property, studied municipal formatting, created believable violation codes. This required planning, resources, access to information about our home. The next morning brought another letter. Same anonymous format. This time claiming our property survey was under investigation for boundary discrepancies. The document referenced a complaint filed by, quote, concerned neighbors about our fence placement. It demanded we hire a licensed surveyor within 30 days or face legal action. I called our original surveyor, Martinez Land Services. They confirmed our fence sat exactly on the property line. No discrepancies existed. No complaints had been filed with the city. Another fabrication. But someone knew enough about our property to reference specific details. Our lot dimensions. The fence installation date. Even the surveyor's name. This wasn't random harassment. Someone had been watching us. Studying us. Building a file. Standing in my driveway that Thursday morning, holding the second fake letter, I felt the first real chill of fear. Not for our safety, but for something more insidious. Someone was trying to make us doubt our own reality, question our place in this neighborhood, drive us away through manufactured crisis. The question wasn't who would do this. The question was who could. The answer came from an unexpected source. Donovan Walker from 3 houses down knocked on our door Friday evening. He carried a manila folder thick with documents. "Knox, we need to talk," he said. "About the letters." Sarah invited him in. We sat at our kitchen table while Donovan spread papers across the surface. Property records, HOA correspondence, city permit applications, all bearing our address. "I've been getting copies of everything," Donovan explained. "Someone's been filing complaints about your property for 6 months, using my name as the complainant." The documents told a disturbing story. Noise complaints about our air conditioning unit. Allegations that our driveway exceeded permitted width. Claims that our landscaping violated water restriction ordinances. Each complaint bore Donovan's forged signature. I only found out because the city called me last week, he continued. They wanted to schedule a hearing about your fence. I told them I never filed any complaint. That's when they sent me these copies. Sarah picked up a complaint dated 3 months earlier. It accused us of operating an unlicensed business from our garage. The document included photographs of delivery trucks on our street. Normal mail and package deliveries twisted into of commercial activity. Who has access to this kind of information? I asked. Donovan pointed to the letterhead on each document. These were filed through the city's online portal. Whoever did this knows the system, knows how to navigate municipal bureaucracy, and they have detailed knowledge of your property. I studied the photographs attached to each complaint. Our house from multiple angles. Our fence line. Our driveway. Our mailbox. Someone had been conducting surveillance for months, building a case designed to overwhelm us with bureaucratic harassment. There's more, Donovan said. He pulled out a stack of HOA violation notices. These were sent to board members with your address highlighted, claiming you're in violation of architectural guidelines. The violations were creative fiction. Our house color allegedly didn't match approved samples. Our mailbox supposedly violated height restrictions. Our garden allegedly contained prohibited plant species. Each violation included professional quality photographs and detailed measurements. The board never acted on these because they're obviously false, Donovan explained, but someone wanted to create a paper trail. Make it look like your problem neighbors. Sarah found the pattern first. Look at the filing dates, she said. Every complaint was submitted on Tuesday evenings between 8 and 9 p.m. I checked the timestamps on each document. She was right. The consistency suggested someone with a regular schedule. Someone who treated this harassment campaign like a weekly appointment. We need to find out who's been accessing these systems, I said. Donovan nodded toward his laptop bag. I already started. My daughter works in the city clerk's office. She pulled the access logs for your property records. Same user account accessed your file 17 times in the past 6 months. The account belonged to Marcus Walker. No relation to Donovan, despite the shared surname. Marcus lived 2 streets over, in the newer section of Fairway Corner. His father owned Walker Construction, the company that built half our neighborhood. I know Marcus, Donovan said. He works for his dad's company, has access to city planning systems for permit applications. Smart kid, but he's always had issues with authority. Got kicked out of college for hacking the grade system. The pieces started connecting. Marcus had legitimate access to municipal databases through his father's construction business. He understood property law from working construction projects. He knew our neighborhood layout from his family's development work. But why target us specifically? Sarah found the answer in our home purchase documents. Look at this, she said, pulling out our closing paperwork. The previous owner was Marcus's girlfriend, Valentina Walker. She sold the house to move in with him. I remembered the awkward encounter during our home inspection. A young woman had been there collecting personal items. She'd seemed upset about the sale. Made comments about not wanting to leave the neighborhood. They broke up 2 months after we moved in, Donovan added. Messy split. Valentina moved back to Austin. Marcus blamed the house sale for their relationship problems, said she never would have left if she'd kept the property. The harassment campaign suddenly made sense. Marcus wasn't trying to drive us away for random reasons. He wanted our house back. Wanted to undo a sale that he believed destroyed his relationship. The fake violations were designed to make us desperate enough to sell quickly and cheaply. He's been trying to manufacture a crisis, I said. Make us think we're facing legal problems. Hope we'll panic and put the house on the market. Donovan pulled out his phone. There's something else. I've been monitoring the neighborhood Facebook group. Marcus has been posting about property values declining in our section. sharing articles about HOA disputes driving down home prices, creating anxiety about living here. The social media posts painted our street as problematic. Marcus shared news stories about HOA lawsuits in other cities, posted warnings about property line disputes, created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty designed to make neighbors question their investments. He's been isolating you socially too, Donovan continued, spreading rumors that you're difficult homeowners, that you don't follow community guidelines. Some neighbors have been avoiding you because they think you're troublemakers. Sarah's face went pale. That explains why the Hendersons stopped talking to us, and why Valentina Chen seemed cold at the block party last month. The systematic nature of the campaign became clear. Marcus had used his construction industry connections to access our property records, his technical skills to forge official documents, his neighborhood knowledge to spread social poison, all designed to make us feel unwelcome and financially pressured. "We need," I said, "something that proves he's behind this." Donovan smiled grimly. "Already working on it. My daughter copied the access logs. Every time Marcus pulled your property records, the system logged his user credentials. We have dates, times, and IP addresses." He handed me a USB drive. "Everything's on here. The forged complaints, the access logs, screenshots of his social media posts. Enough to prove systematic harassment." But I wanted more than proof. I wanted to catch him in the goey. "When does he usually file these complaints?" I asked. "Tuesday evenings, like clockwork." It was Friday. We had 4 days to prepare. Tuesday evening arrived with unseasonable humidity. I positioned myself in my home office with a clear view of the street. Sarah monitored our security cameras from the kitchen. Donovan waited in his car 2 blocks away, ready to witness Marcus entering the city building after hours. At 6:47 p.m., Marcus's white Ford F-150 pulled into the municipal complex parking lot. Donovan's text confirmed. "Target acquired. Moving to position." The plan was simple. Document everything. Let Marcus file his fraudulent complaint, then confront him with irrefutable. My phone buzzed at 7:23 p.m. He's inside, using the after-hours access terminal in the planning department lobby. 20 minutes later, Marcus emerged. He drove straight home, parked in his driveway, and disappeared into the house. Normal evening routine, no indication he'd just committed another of systematic harassment. Wednesday morning brought the expected envelope. City of Fox Bend letterhead. Another fabricated violation notice. This time claiming our fence exceeded the 6-foot height restriction by 14 inches. I measured the fence with my Stanley Powerlock tape measure. Exactly 71 inches. Well within code. The PB was complete. Time for confrontation. I knocked on Marcus's door at 10 a.m. He answered wearing a Carhartt work shirt and jeans, coffee mug in hand. His expression shifted from neighborly to guarded when he saw my face. "Morning, Knox. What's up?" "We need to talk about the complaints you've been filing." His grip tightened on the coffee mug. "I don't know what you mean." I pulled out the USB drive. "City access logs. Your credentials. Every fraudulent complaint traced back to your login. Want to explain why you've been harassing my family for 8 months?" Marcus stepped back into his doorway. "You're mistaken. I haven't filed any complaints." Tuesday, 7:15 p.m., Municipal Building Terminal 3. Complaint number HC20240-847 regarding fence height violations. Your digital signature on the submission. The color drained from his face. "That's impossible. Your IP address, your access credentials, your systematic campaign to drive us out of the neighborhood." I held up my phone showing screenshots of his Facebook posts. Social media manipulation, property record theft, document forgery. Marcus glanced toward his father's house. Robert was visible through the kitchen window, reading his morning paper, oblivious to his son's activities. "Look, maybe we can work something out," Marcus said quietly. "The time for working things out ended when you forged city documents. That's a Class A misdemeanor in Texas. Tampering with government records." His shoulders sagged. "I never meant for it to go this far. 8 months of harassment, fake violations, social isolation, property value manipulation. How far did you think it would go?" Marcus set his coffee mug on the porch railing. "Dad's been talking about selling, moving to a retirement community. But he loves this house. This neighborhood. I thought if your property values dropped, if there were problems with the HOA, he'd see it wasn't worth staying." The twisted logic became clear. Marcus wanted his father to sell voluntarily, avoid the difficult conversation about assisted living, create neighborhood problems that would make Robert want to leave. "So you decided to destroy our lives instead of having an honest conversation with your father." I panicked. "Dad's getting older. He needs help but won't admit it. I thought if the neighborhood seemed problematic, he'd be more open to moving somewhere with better support services. By framing us as problem homeowners, making neighbors think we're troublemakers, filing false complaints with the city." Marcus nodded miserably. "I have connections in construction, access to property records. I thought I could create enough minor issues to make him reconsider." "Minor issues? We've spent thousands on legal consultations, lost sleep, damaged relationships with neighbors. You call that minor? I'm sorry, I really am. I'll stop. I'll tell the city the complaints were mistakes. Too late for apologies. This goes beyond personal conflict now." I pulled out my phone and dialed. "Officer Martinez, Knox Ramirez. We're ready to file the formal complaint." Officer Taylor Martinez from the Civil Rights Division had been briefed on our situation. The systematic nature of Marcus's harassment qualified as targeted intimidation under Texas Penal Code Section 42.072. Marcus's face went white. "Wait, please, can't we handle this privately? You made it public when you filed false government documents, when you manipulated social media to isolate us, when you turned neighbors against us with lies." Officer Martinez arrived within 30 minutes. Professional demeanor. Digital tablet for documentation. She listened to our presentation with careful attention. "Mr. Walker, you're being charged with tampering with government records, harassment, and filing false reports. You have the right to remain silent." The arrest was quiet. No drama. No shouting. Marcus cooperated fully, understanding the severity of his situation. Robert emerged from his house as the patrol car pulled away, confusion and shock evident on his face. I approached him carefully. "Robert, I'm sorry you had to see this. Your son has been filing false complaints against our property for 8 months. The old man's shoulders slumped. "I don't understand. Why would Marcus do such a thing? He thought if our property values dropped, if there were neighborhood problems, you'd want to move to a retirement community." Robert stared at his son's empty house. "He could have just talked to me. I've been considering assisted living for months. The yard work is getting difficult. The house feels too big." The irony was devastating. Marcus had orchestrated 8 months of harassment to solve a problem that didn't exist. His father was already open to moving. All it would have taken was an honest conversation. "I'm sorry about the complaints," Robert continued. "I had no idea Marcus was doing this. Is there anything I can do to help fix the situation? The legal process will handle the formal resolution, but if you could speak with neighbors, explain that the complaints were false, it would help restore our reputation in the community." Robert nodded firmly. "Of course. I'll talk to everyone. Make sure they know you're good neighbors. This is my fault for not paying closer attention to what Marcus was doing." The HOA board meeting that Thursday was packed. Word had spread about Marcus's arrest. Neighbors who had been avoiding us suddenly wanted to hear our side of the story. Donovan presented them methodically. Access logs, forged documents, social media manipulation, the systematic nature of the harassment campaign. "The Ramirez family has been targeted for 8 months, he explained. False complaints, property record theft, social isolation tactics, all designed to drive them from the neighborhood. Valentina Chen approached me after the meeting. "I owe you an apology. Marcus told me you were difficult homeowners, that you'd been causing problems with property maintenance. I should have talked to you directly instead of believing rumors." Similar conversations happened throughout the week. Neighbors who had been cold or distant suddenly understood the truth. The social poison Marcus had spread was slowly being neutralized. The legal proceedings moved efficiently. Marcus pled guilty to tampering with government records and filing false reports. The judge sentenced him to 6 months probation, community service, and restitution for our legal expenses. More importantly, the city expunged all fraudulent complaints from our property record. Our HOA standing was restored. The systematic harassment was officially recognized and documented. But the real resolution came from an unexpected source. Robert Walker decided to sell his house and move to Sunset Manor, an assisted living community 15 minutes away. He'd been researching the transition for months, waiting for the right time to make the change. Marcus was trying to solve a problem that was already solved, Robert told me during our final conversation. I just hadn't told him about my plans yet. If he'd asked, this whole mess could have been avoided. The house sold within 2 weeks. A young family with twin daughters moved in. Normal neighbors who borrowed tools and invited us to barbecues, the kind of community members Marcus's harassment had driven away. I started documenting everything for other homeowners facing similar situations. The investigation techniques, the legal processes, the importance of systematic collection. 3 months after Marcus's conviction, I received a call from Donovan. "There's another family dealing with systematic HOA harassment. Different neighborhood, similar tactics. Would you be willing to help them understand their options?" The request led to more calls. More families facing coordinated intimidation campaigns, property record manipulation, false complaint filing, social isolation tactics designed to drive out targeted homeowners. 6 months later, I stood in my backyard watching the new neighbor's daughters play on their swing set. The sound of children's laughter had replaced the effect that once hung over our property line like morning fog. The Fairway Corner Homeowner Support Network met every second Thursday at the community center. What started as informal advice sessions had grown into something larger. 12 families now attended regularly. We shared investigation techniques, legal resources, and emotional support for those facing systematic intimidation. "Document everything," I told new members. "Screenshots, timestamps, witness statements. The paper trail becomes your strongest defense." Last week, we helped the Morrison family in Willow Creek expose a similar campaign. Their neighbor's adult daughter had been filing false noise complaints and manipulating HOA board votes to target their property. Using our investigation template, they gathered within 30 days. The harassment stopped immediately once confronted with documented proof. The support group had become something I never expected to create, but desperately needed to exist. Property betrayal leaves invisible scars, the violation of trust, the questioning of every neighbor interaction, the constant vigilance that exhausts your spirit. Marcus Walker served his probation without incident. I heard he moved to Austin for a fresh start. His father Robert sent a Christmas card from Sunset Manor, where he'd made new friends and joined the woodworking club. Sometimes problems solve themselves if given enough time and space. Our property record remained clean. The fraudulent complaints were permanently expunged from city files. The HOA board implemented new verification procedures for anonymous complaints, requiring supporting and witness statements. But the real victory was simpler than legal resolutions or policy changes. It was Tuesday evening barbecues with normal neighbors. It was borrowing hedge trimmers without suspicion. It was the absence of dread when checking the mailbox. The investigation skills I'd developed served the community well. Other homeowners learned to recognize manipulation tactics, document harassment patterns, and navigate legal processes effectively. Knowledge became our collective defense against future betrayals. Standing in my restored backyard, I watched the sunset paint the fence line where this nightmare began. The property markers stood exactly where they belonged. The survey stakes remained undisturbed. The silence held no hidden threats. It was finally over, and the silence felt earned.